It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is brand new stuff from the Graham Bonnet Band. That one is called Rider. And on the phone right now, we have the legendary vocalist himself, the one and only Graham Bonnet. Graham, how are you, man?
Oh, okay. I love being legendary. That's nice.
Well, come on, Graham. You have to know at this point with obviously your heritage and your history in rock and metal, you definitely qualify at this point, don't you think?
Well, I've been around a long time. Let's say that. Yeah. Well, I thank you for saying that because it's kind of a very nice compliment, and to be honest with you, it's kind of nice to hear that after all these years. It's been an incredible journey for me. I know.
Well, sure. Well, Graham, you're back once again with yet another incarnation of Graham Bonnet. This one called the Graham Bonnet Band, and I have to tell you right off the bat, Graham. Very, very cool stuff that not only captures what you've done in the past, but definitely conquers some new territory. So bravo to you, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, that's what I was kind of aiming for. And this band is not a project. I just want to say that this is something that I hope will go on for a few years instead of like a few weeks, like most of the stuff I've done in the past. But that was what I was aiming for. I wanted to have some continuity from sort of people might remember Alcatraz, but
Sure.
They think that nothing happened after that. Now it's a reintroduction to Graham and his wonderful music. And this is the band that I want to make sure that we all stay together and work hard together as a family.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about the band for a minute. Who all is in the band? I know it's it features some guys from projects and bands that people have heard before, but at the same time, I'm assuming, especially from what you just said, that it didn't come together because they were known as much as because they sort of fit with what you were trying to do.
Yeah. Well, what happened was I actually I was asked to do a gig with Bethany and with Conrado at the Whiskey to just go up and just do a couple of songs with their band and with their singer Tommy Ray Brown. And I got up there and I sang a couple of songs, a Beatles song, a Badfinger song, and I think we did probably a Rainbow tune. And that was it. And after I finished playing, I thought, well, this is fun. And at that time, I was going out with my own sort of incarnation of sort of Alcatraz, but not quite, okay. And doing all the Alcatraz music. And this was a pleasant change and a sigh of relief almost, like, I can do something different. And I asked Bethany, first of all, I said, hey, have you ever thought about playing, in doing some other music? Because I knew that the gig she had at that time was kind of temporary. It was on and off, and it was one of those things she just sat in on. And she said, well, no, but what do you want? What is it? And so I explained what I had. I had an idea of sort of getting away from the Alcatraz thing and doing some new music, because we never recorded anything new while I was going out there doing all the songs that everybody knew, but
Sure.
never actually making an album as such. And so that's it kind of sparked me off thinking I can do something new now. This has given me the inspiration. And so we got together and I started writing these songs, and I showed her exactly what they were and how they were formed and everything on my acoustic guitar. And then I said, well, we've got to get another guitar player. So another guitar player came in, and she said, well, have you thought about using Conrado? And I thought, well, geez, no. I mean, we played together that night, but I didn't think he was available, and I thought maybe he was doing other stuff anyway. So I went through, like, my book of guitar players,
right.
And crossing them all off one by one. And so anyways, Conrado came in, and it was good. It was magical. It's just really, really nice. The bond between the three of us has become pretty strong, and we sort of know where we're going. And later on, after a few drummers, we brought in Mark Zonder, who wanted to do this gig. He was really gung-ho for getting into the band and playing drums, which is amazing. He's done a great job on the album, and I think we've got kind of a modern sound now. It's kind of cool. It's a bit retro here and there, but very new sounding, I think. I hope.
Sure. Well, it definitely is, and to listen to it, there are definitely, let's face it, there's definitely elements of what you've done in the past, whether it's Alcatraz or Rainbow or what have you. There are definitely, you can hear that, but a lot of times guys that have been around, 30, 40 years that have a long career like that, they get pigeonholed into that without exploring some new territory, where you can pull out songs on this record. The one that jumps out into my head is California Air, and you hear new elements, you hear new sounds, and you hear. I don't think it's a. I don't. And again, tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but you don't hear like you're trying to sound different. You just hear kind of growth.
Yeah, it's just the way. I know what you mean about that song. It's kind of funny when I listen back to it. You know, when we're kind of picking which bits were good and which were crap. You know, whatever. Well, as you do when you're mixing and stuff. I thought, wow, my voice sounds different on this. I sound really young on that bit, and I don't know why, but so because of the shape of the words or the notes or whatever it may be, there's a certain different sound in my vocal, and it's not fake. It was just it's there, and we didn't do anything to make it sound weird or anything. But I sounded like I was like 15 or something on one of the lines in the song. I was like, geez, what happened there? You know, but it brings out different elements of the vocal, you know, my voice, I think, that probably hasn't been heard before, certain areas, you know. So it's kind of cool to hear a different voice coming from this same person who's 2,000 years old now, you know, and sounding so young and fresh.
Sure.
No, I'm kind of joking now, but it's my voice hasn't changed that much at all, really.
Sure. I've got to imagine that you probably analyze your voice more than any critic would ever. Do you ever find a time where you say, okay, this is perfect, this is exactly what I envisioned, or are you like every other musician I've ever met that never thinks that it's right?
Yeah, I'm like that. I think every musician is, because you're never perfect, you never will be. But you do the best you damn well can to make it as near perfect as possible. But I listen to stuff, I don't listen to my music at all, but if something comes on the radio, for instance, I hear it and I go, oh God, I wish I'd done that again. And it might have been years ago, you know, probably 20 years ago or something like that. But you're never a perfection. And if you are, you might as well give up, because you're always striving for perfection, and that's what keeps musicians going, I think.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Now, Graham, once you put this lineup together and you started melding together as a band, was the writing process for you guys, was it really kind of organic amongst everybody, or because you're kind of the leader, so to speak, were you the one that came with the music and then they brought in their sounds to accompany what you were developing?
Yeah, the latter. I mean, I had these songs knocking around, you know, like 3-4 years ago or something in my head, but I never actually recorded them, as I said, because we never recorded anything new with the sort of Alcatraz outfit I went out with. You know, we're just doing karaoke music, basically, sing along with Graham, you know, sing along on Alcatraz. So this was, I got all the words and the melodies together and rough arrangements to present to the band on my guitar and say, okay, I want something to happen here. I don't know what it should be. There should be a guitar solo here. There should be a bass break here. There should be I went through the whole arrangement, and they added their parts very willingly and helped me out a lot. In fact, they had ideas I didn't even think about, editing things down or lengthening certain parts, you know, and everybody in the band had their input.
Sure. Now let's talk about the second disc of the release, because that seems to be the trip down memory lane, so to speak, and it's very fresh sounding, and personally I like it just because a lot of those songs, you know, because the technology has changed so much, get a real oomph to them because of the ability to record much better than you could have in like the 80s or 70s. Or do you agree?
Yes. I mean, I talking about the 70s. Well, when we first recorded a lot of this stuff, I remember with my own band, Alcatraz, we went to a listening party and a video viewing thing, and I was like blown away at how wimpy our record sounded. This is the first album of Alcatraz when Yngwie was our guitar player.
Sure.
And it sounded wimpy. I'm saying that because after our video came on, Olivia Newton-John's video came on with Let's Get Physical. And her record sounded huge. This song just sounded so fucking tough and big.
Right.
And ours sounded like a wimpy little, you know, it didn't sound like anything. And we'd all put our balls into these fucking songs. You know, Yngwie was playing this hard out. I was screaming my head off. And everybody else was really hammering, you know, loud. You know, it's a big thing when we're in the studio. But our record, the production on it, I was really very disappointed in it, you know. But now, these days, yes. I mean, this album, it didn't take that long because technology is so much better now, you know.
Sure.
But the re-recording part of it, the vocal part of it, took me a while to actually get into it again, to make them fresh in my throat, let's say, because I've been singing these songs for 35, 40, whatever it may be, a long damn time.
Right.
And they're boring to me. Not boring, but there's no, like, spark, unless you're in front of an audience. Then the songs for me come alive, because you see the smiling faces when they recognize the song. But here you're standing in front of a microphone, it's a cold room, and there's no feedback as such. And you have to give the performance as though it was just the first time singing it. And it isn't, obviously. But I tried the best I could to sort of get enthusiastic and energetic about each track, because, as I said, I've sung them so many times, it's like I can sing them in my sleep, and I didn't want to sound as though I was asleep.
Right. And that's always one of those things, Graham, that I don't think people that have never been in a band understand, is that, you know, as an example, I'll throw Assault Attack, the MSG tune that you did out there. You know, for a fan that catches it, you know, once, twice a year when Michael Schenker comes through, no matter who's singing it, you know, okay, you hear it once or twice, and then you don't hear it again for 2 years, and then it comes back and it's still fresh. For you that's actually toured on that record, you sang it 300 nights in a row, to where you're just like, oh, geez, you know, and do you think people don't understand just how hard it is? Because And I'll say this because I know a lot of musicians, as you would imagine. You know, a lot of guys that have had long careers, those are the guys that are always looking to keep recording new music and keep integrating new music, because they've played these, you know, I always make the joke that Aerosmith probably hates Dream On, not because it's a bad song, but because they've played it 10,000 times. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as I said, but it's when you get in front of an audience, then that song comes alive again for you. As much as you may be so bored with it, you want to kill yourself, you know.
Right.
As soon as I sing, for instance, Since You've Been Gone, the audience just lights up. I see the smiling face, I see them, they're clapping their hands, they're all singing the words, and then suddenly I suddenly sing better. I can sing that song better because I get that reaction. So I will be doing those songs forever, you know, Since You've Been Gone and All Night Long and whatever else, Assault Attack, etc., from all the past recordings I've done, because that's what people want to hear. I remember going to a Sting concert in Australia, and he had a lot of new material out, and people were leaving until he sang Roxanne. Then people came back.
Jeez.
And that's what I'm kind of. I'm not Sting. I'm not as well known as Sting or whatever. But it's the same reaction, whatever the fan base may be.
Exactly. But in your personal life, you're probably not singing Since You've Been Gone, walking around the house.
No, not much.
I get it. Well, Graham, I've seen a couple of reviews. The record is just now starting to get out to press people and whatnot, and I've seen a few reviews for the book, and very well received from the stuff that I've seen so far. Have you been surprised by the early response, or were you really confident on this one?
Oh no, I'm absolutely surprised, because I was worried it was going to be, I don't know, probably too dated sounding or not modern sounding enough, and whether the songs were going to cut it or not, I didn't know. I still don't know, but the reviews have been amazing, and I'm really happy that the way they are. It's just it's turning me around, and I'm still alive. Good grief! You know, I can still do this. You know, and because I was wondering if I was stuck in one place and couldn't move on, but now I think the time has come for me to move on and keep on writing tunes and enjoying what I do.
Sure. So does that mean that you're going to be able to get out there and tour with the record, or what is that?
Yeah, we're leaving. I'm leaving tomorrow. We're going on tour to. We're going to Europe, and we're doing England, Scotland. We're going to Ireland as well. The first place we're going to is actually Spain. And I think we go to Italy. I can't remember the actual route, but we're going all over the place. We're out for another month. We've been playing this year too. We've been playing last year. We've been playing for basically live for probably about 2 years or so. But we've never played in this country, in America.
Sure.
That's the problem. But people think I'm dead or something, you know.
Sure.
So that's why we did the re-recordings, is because that will remind people of what I have done And that was Frontier's Records' idea to do that. So it was like a bonus, and they can look back and go, oh, that's a guy that sang Since You've Been Gone. I didn't know that. You know?
Right.
And this is the new album by the same guy, you know.
Right. So come listen to it. Now,
yeah, exactly. It's a kind of a little bit of a cheap
hey,
trick, as we might say, but it sometimes works.
Sure, certainly. Well, Graham, no secret. In the last year, one of your old bands sort of kind of got together, I guess, which was the Ritchie Blackmore Rainbow thing. And I'm not going to dig into that too deep, other than I just got to ask. Joe Lynn Turner was very vocal. You were somewhat not vocal, which I expected to see more from you, one way or the other. I guess my question is, were you okay that you were not brought into that mix for better or for worse, to participate in that?
Yeah. I never expected it to be happen, to be honest with you. But that's why I didn't say anything about it, because I knew what Ritchie was going to do. He'd bring in people that were completely unknown and see if there was an interest in the Rainbow name itself. Just go out there and call it Rainbow Reunion or whatever he did, and see the kind of reaction he got. Well, it seems that he's returned to his Blackmore's Night project, so to speak, with his wife. So I don't know how well that show did, but if he'd have brought in, let's say, at least two of the guys from the band, I'm not even thinking about the singing. If he brought in maybe Roger Glover and Don Airey, then I think you could call it a Rainbow resurgence or reunion. Mm-hmm. But it was just Ritchie, Blackmore, and other guys, as far as I could see.
Sure, definitely.
I mean, I don't mean to be rude and horrible about that, but that's the way it looked visually, apart from anything else.
Right. And in the end, I mean, I guess from your perspective too, you've got a lot of music that you've put out yourself between your Rainbow days and now. So for you, and I guess Joe does too. But I mean, it just for you've kind of built a career past it, where people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think people go and say, well, Graham of Rainbow, as much as they'll say Graham of Alcatraz or, Impellitteri or, the stuff that you've done after MSG. I don't think you're as tightly connected to Rainbow as maybe Joe Lynn Turner might have been. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'm luckily enough, because it is. But I tell you, if Ritchie got in touch with me one day, I haven't spoken to him since I left the band. That's how.
Oh wow.
Unattached we are.
Right.
It's and that's 850 years ago, whatever it was. And I mean, if he ever came up with the idea of getting together with Don Airey and Roger Glover and it'd be fantastic. I'd love to do it. Or if you want to just do something with me, it'd be fantastic, because he was my friend, still is my friend, who I miss very much, and he's like me, doesn't keep in contact with his friends. I'm terrible keeping in contact with anybody, even parts of my family, And he's the same kind of guy. He keeps himself very much to himself and just lives his life. And but one day, if he ever did it, man, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, for now though, Graham, what people can do, they can keep in touch with you with the book. That's what they can go and buy, or they can listen to on any of the streaming services when it comes out, I'm sure. So where can people find out more about the record and about your tour dates and whatnot? Is there what's the website and all that good stuff?
Yeah, the Graham Bonnet, GrahamBonnet.com, I think is one, and Graham Bonnet Band. Look for Graham Bonnet Band. You'll find information about tours and stuff like that.
All right.
I don't look after that part of the. I'm terrible with websites and blah blah blah. I don't do that bit.
Right. You're the singer, goddammit, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm the singer. I stand in the middle and at the front, and I get all the shoes thrown at me when it's the back concert. Yes, that guy. The one who gets the darts and the arrows. Should it be a bad night?
Fair
it's not
enough.
my fault. I'm sorry, folks.
Well, Graham, I'll tell you what, man. As a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new record, and maybe tell us a quick story about it. So what would you like to wrap this one up with?
Well, maybe, let me think. Into the Night, which is the video. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you?
I have not seen it, no.
It's a 360 video. It's called Into the Night. We filmed it on top of a building here in downtown L.A., and it's where you can look around we're on top of the building, we're playing, blah, 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 but you tilt your camera any which way, and you can look all the way around the back of us, our feet. You want to look at any part of the actual video itself. You can look at, the drums you just move the camera around.
Excellent.
Yeah, so Into the Night. And it's basically about a guy who comes home and finds that his life has been changed drastically because he has no home anymore. And the words in the song tell the story. So it's basically about divorce, if you will.
All right, well, let's check it out. This is the Graham Bonnet Band. This is Into the Night right here on your Classic Metal Show.